Ever find yourself, I don't know, maybe like when you're doing dishes or something, and you start thinking, man, robots could just be doing this entire thing for me someday.
Oh, yeah.
It's a weird mix of exciting and also a little bit, unnerving.
Right.
Well, that's kind of what we're diving into today, that whole future with AI right at the center of it.
Yeah.
And we're jumping off from this article that's breaking down some big ideas from Michael Goddard's book, AI and the Future of Humanity. But, forget the hype for a second, right? We want to actually unpack how this stuff could really change our lives.
Absolutely.
The good, the bad, the whole picture. And speaking of the good, this article, it really dives headfirst into the potential upsides. It talks about how AI could totally revolutionize healthcare. Not even just robots doing surgery, although that's definitely on the table too, but think more like AI looking at mountains of medical data and being able to diagnose diseases way earlier and way more accurately than we ever could.
It's true. The article actually highlights this whole thing about how AI diagnostic tools could seriously cut down on misdiagnosis rates, which would be, I mean, that's huge.
And it's massive, yeah.
It's huge.
And then it gets even wilder. We're talking AI tackling climate change, like using these crazy algorithms to spot patterns in environmental data on a scale we can barely even comprehend.
Exactly. And they specifically talk about reinforcement learning, which is this type of AI that basically learns as it goes, kind of like trial and error.
Hmm.
And it's being used right now to make energy grids way more efficient, especially with renewable energy, which obviously that's good news for getting us off fossil fuels.
Okay, so we're talking about AI being this ultimate problem solver,
Right.
which is a bit of a mind blow. But then the article takes this turn and it gets into how AI could actually change how we connect with each other. And at first it seems a little counterintuitive, right?
It does, yeah, it does.
But the article makes a case that AI could actually bring people closer.
It's interesting. I mean, think about it. What if you had AI-powered communication tools that could, instantly break down language barriers or help us understand different cultures on a deeper level? And then there's this whole other concept of virtual companions, basically, super advanced chatbots that could help people who are struggling with loneliness.
It's like suddenly technology isn't isolating us.
Yeah.
It's actually helping us make these really meaningful connections.
It's definitely a trip to think about, that's for sure. But, the article doesn't just stop at the sunshine and rainbows. It really dives into some of the potential downsides, too. And honestly, some of it's a little,
Intense.
Yeah, intense is a good word for it. One of the things they really hit hard is this idea that AI, if we're not careful, could actually make inequality even worse.
Right, like this whole AI divide thing. You can totally see how this tech, if it's not available to everyone, could really leave a lot of people behind.
Exactly. And the article paints this pretty stark picture of what that could look like, where access to AI basically determines your whole economic future. Picture this. Mass job losses because of automation, which is already happening, but now it's on a whole other level because of AI.
Oh, yeah.
And the folks who have the skills to adapt, the ones who can work with AI, they're probably going to be okay. But for everyone else.
Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. And it goes way beyond just jobs, right? We're talking access to good education, healthcare, even just personalized recommendations. It all comes down to who has access to the AI doing the thinking. The article really drives home this point that this disparity could snowball, impacting everything.
It's kind of terrifying, honestly. And then there's the other big one, right? The thing everyone always brings up with AI, that's surveillance, the control. That's some real Black Mirror stuff.
Whoa, tell me about it. And the article makes this really interesting connection between that fear and how fast AI is advancing. Because think about it, as these systems get smarter, they're able to process more and more data, right? And we're not just talking about random numbers here. We're talking about us, our online activity, our location, even our conversations. All of that data is up for grabs.
Okay, yeah, see, that's where I start to get a little freaked out. Helping me diagnose an illness earlier, fine. Recommending a new show, sure. But knowing everything about what I do online, that's different.
100%. And the article, it doesn't shy away from that at all. It flat out says that while this data can be used for good, obviously, like improving safety or whatever, there's also huge potential for misuse. We're talking about stuff that gets into some really ethically murky territory.
Oh, for sure. It's imagine AI that can basically track your every move, predict what you're going to do before you even do it.
Or even manipulate you into doing things.
Exactly. It's we've gone from cool gadgets and helpful tools to full-on dystopian sci-fi in the blink of an eye.
It's a slippery slope for sure, and this is where the whole trust thing comes into play. Because if we can't even trust that the information we're getting is real, if we can't trust the systems that are making decisions about our lives,
That's a problem. A big one.
huge. And we're already seeing this play out with deepfakes, right? The article talks about how AI can be used to create these crazy, realistic, fake videos and audio recordings. And honestly, it's terrifying.
Because who do you even believe anymore? And what does that do to our ability to, like, function as a society?
Exactly. It's like the technology is evolving way faster than we can even wrap our heads around it. It's overwhelming.
Totally. So, like, what do we even do with all of this? How do we make sure that AI is used ethically, responsibly? Where do we even begin? I feel like it's easy to go down that rabbit hole, like just get totally overwhelmed by all the what ifs. But the good news is the article, it doesn't leave us hanging. Like, it actually offers some real solid steps we can take to make sure AI is a force for good, not just, doom and gloom.
For sure. And a lot of it comes back to something we talk about a lot on this show, which is just being informed, right? The article really stresses how important it is for us to, educate ourselves about AI.
Yeah. Like, no more scrolling past those AI articles with your eyes closed, right?
Exactly. We got to actually engage with this stuff. And not just the techie side of it either. We need to be thinking about the social impact, the ethical questions, the economic implications, like all of it. Because the more we understand about AI and how it could change things, the better prepared we'll be to actually do something about it. Like advocate for policies that make sense, support organizations that are using AI ethically, that kind of thing.
So it's about knowledge, but then it's about action, too.
100%. But, there's another piece of the puzzle that I think is really important, and it's something the article touches on, which is this whole idea of how do we maintain human connection in this AI-driven future? Like, how do we ensure technology doesn't just become this thing that isolates us?
That's such a good point. Because it's easy to imagine this future where we're all just, like, surrounded by AI, but totally disconnected from each other.
Right. And yeah, maybe an AI assistant could plan the perfect birthday party or write a killer email for you. But at the end of the day, it's on us to nurture those real human connections.
Like, put down the phone, step away from the AI chatbot, and go have a real conversation with a real human being.
Exactly. Because those moments, those real interactions, those are the things that really matter. And honestly, this all ties back into something we were talking about earlier, being mindful consumers. Like, every time we decide to use a product or a service that uses AI, we're kind of making a choice about what the future is going to look like.
It's like we're casting a vote for the kind of world we want to live in.
100%. So do your research, find out how companies are using AI, and if you don't like what you see, speak up. Support the companies that are doing things right, the ones that are transparent and ethical, and don't be afraid to demand better from the ones that aren't. We have way more power than we think we do.
It's a good reminder that the future isn't, like, set in stone,
Yeah.
We actually get a say in what it looks like.
Absolutely. And that's, I think, the most hopeful takeaway from all of this. Like, by understanding AI, by being aware of the risks, by being active participants in shaping how this technology develops, we can actually create a future where it works for us, not against us.
And that's a future I can get behind. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked a lot about the importance of AI literacy, right? Understanding how this stuff works, how it could impact our lives. But how do we actually make that a reality for everyone, not just the tech geniuses and the people who are already plugged in? How do we make sure that everyone has the knowledge and the tools they need to navigate this crazy, constantly evolving world of AI? Because that, my friends, is the million-dollar question. And that's what I want you to think about. Till next time, stay curious, be informed. As always, thanks for diving in with us.